What's up, Lions fans? I hope you are all as excited for this upcoming NFL season as I am. Since the season is approaching, I thought I would give my take on what I consider to be the most important thing for the Lions' success in 2019. You may all be thinking running the ball or playing top-notch defense, and yeah, that's all true. But in my opinion, the most important factor for the Lions' success in 2019 is going to be consistency. Consistently running the ball or consistently playing good defense. And I'm going to show you what I mean in this video. So before we fully dive in, I just want to go over what happened in 2018 really fast. The Lions only finished 6-10, and you are what your record says you are. However, your record does not tell the full story. The Lions weren't necessarily a bad team in 2018. Well, yeah, they only finished 6-10, but a big part of that was consistency problems. In 2018, they finished 16th in points allowed, with allowing 22.5 points per game. They finished 25th in points for, with 20.3 points per game. The Lions finished 23rd in rushing and 20th in passing. I think we can all expect the passing to be a bit better once 2019 rolls around, assuming all of our receivers can stay healthy. We were tied for 18th in sacks allowed, allowing 2.5 sacks per game. Now, these numbers all are a little bit underwhelming, yes, but they don't tell the full story. They don't show how woefully inconsistent the Lions were in 2018. Here's a layout of the Lions' consistency problems in 2018. Look at the huge disparity between when they won versus when they lost. In the 6 wins they had, they only gave up 12.7 points per game, which would have ranked them as the number one scoring defense by a pretty big margin. But in the losses, they allowed 28.4 points per game, which would have tied them for 30th in the NFL. In the 6 wins, the Lions scored 24.5 points per game. And part of that is because it gets a little bit deflated by their 17-3 win over the Cardinals. But still, they would have ranked 13th in the NFL with 24.5 points per game in their 6 wins. But in their 10 losses, they only scored 16.7 points per game, which would have ranked them bottom 5. In their 6 wins, the Lions averaged 141.2 rushing yards per game, which would have ranked them 3rd in the NFL. Now, that is certainly inflated a little bit by the 248-yard rushing performance against the Dolphins, but do you see the picture? 141.2 rushing yards per game in the wins versus 81.3 rushing yards per game in the losses, and that would have ranked them dead last. The only thing that's odd is that in the wins, the passing offense was worse than in the losses, which I guess that kind of makes sense. When you're losing, you're probably going to throw more, but still. And this is another one. In the 6 wins, the Lions allowed 1.2 sacks per game, which would have tied them for 2nd in the NFL. But in the losses, they allowed 3.3 sacks per game, which would have ranked them bottom 5 at number 28. So like I said, I don't think the Lions were necessarily a bad team in 2018. They were just woefully inconsistent. The defense began to get a bit more consistent near the end of the year, but the injuries just became too much for to overcome at that point, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. So basically, in 2018, the Lions either looked like one of the best teams in the league, or they looked like one of the worst. They looked like a top 3 team, or they looked like a bottom 3 team, with very little in between. So how can the Lions fix these consistency problems? They can fix it with balance. We don't need Stafford to throw for 5,000 yards, and we don't need Carry-On to rush for 2,000 yards. Yeah, we need balance. The defense can't win games by themselves, and the offense can't be winning games by themselves. We need a complete team effort. You got to play complementary football. on offense and defense. The passing game has to complement the running game. The running game has to complement the passing game. The offense needs to complement the defense, and the defense needs to complement the offense. That's where the key is. Now, there's obviously a lot more factors that are going to affect the Lions winning and losing in this upcoming season, but consistency, in my opinion, is going to be the biggest one. It's going to be on Darrell Bevell to make sure we're consistently staying balanced. Like, we can't have one player on offense carrying the team. Like, Carry-On can't carry the offense, and Stafford can't carry the offense either. They have to complement each other with sound play. Like, think of the wins that we had. Other than the Cardinals game, when we ran the ball, Stafford didn't necessarily have his best statistical performances, but he had his cleanest games. He had his most mistake-free games when we ran the ball. So that's what I mean. And Carry-On will hopefully help that in this upcoming season. But Darrell Bevell needs to have a balanced offense. That's honestly what I think is the biggest key. Balance on offense, and that will help out your defense. Well, yeah, I think that will be all for this video. What do you guys think is the biggest key to the Lions being successful in 2019? Do you agree with my take, or do you disagree? Let me know in the comments below. DSA members in the description as always. And yeah, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed.